Welcome to circles. Now, for this video, we're going to look at the difference between area and circumference, and then we're going to solve a couple area questions, okay? So area is the amount of space inside of a circle. So note all of these red circles that are filled in. So it's the amount of space inside of there, and they're always going to be in square units. So if it's feet, it'll be square feet. If it's miles, it'll be squared miles. If it's centimeters, it'll be centimeters squared or square centimeters. And that just means that it has distance in two directions, all right, or 2D. All right, so circumference is going to be the distance around something. All right, so think of this as you just walking with some measuring tape all the way around a circle. Another analogy is people talk about putting a fence around an area that's a circle. All right, so it's the distance, and that'll always just be in feet, centimeter, miles, kilometers, whatever it is, because it's one direction and it can be measured like that. Okay. All right, so here's an intro to the formulas. All right, so inside of a circle, boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop, and that's going to be the area is equal to pi times radius squared. And squared is just another way of saying radius times itself. Okay. All right, and then the circumference we use 2 times pi times radius, or pi times diameter. All right, and just looking back at our previous video, radius is half the length of diameter, so that's what this 2 right here accounts for. Okay. Now, here's a look at a problem all done for you. Okay, so we're given the diameter, and it's 22 meters. Okay. So what I did was I found out what the radius is by just splitting that in two. So 22 divided by 2 equals 11. Sorry about that miscue right there. And on my calculator, I have a pi button, which is going to figure out what pi is to many different decimal points. But generally speaking, it's somewhere in this range. All right, different calculators will have it maybe 3.1416, rounding up that number, and other times teachers will have you use this value. All right, it's all up to your teacher, so please pay very close attention to that. And sometimes there's a button right on the calculator, and that's what I did, and it gets closer to this irrational number, which has a never-ending decimal. So I kind of rounded at the end of 9, but it's a much longer number than that. All right, so area equals pi times r squared. So area equals pi times 11 squared. Area equals pi times the answer to this. All right, 11 times 11 is 121. So here I press the button pi times 121, and I was able to get this rounded to 380.1 meters squared. Remember that square unit. Okay? All right, so the next one, all right, area equals pi r squared, okay? We're given the radius here, okay? Pi times 5 squared. Area equals pi times 25. All I did was multiply 5 times itself. And then here, and I'll write it down a little bit. Now I'm going to hit my pi button on my calculator, times 25 equals, and I'm going to get this value, 78.53981. And in our class, we're rounding to the nearest tenth, so we're going to look at that number 3 as our clue. And since 3 is less than 5, we're going to keep our value being 78.5 meters squared. All right, again, area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi times 8 squared. area equals pi times 64. All I did was 8 times 8. Area equals, and I'll put this in my calculator, pi button times 64 equals 201.06192, and there's many more after that. So since we're rounding in our class to the nearest tenth, I'm going to be looking at that value. Since 6 is 5 or larger, it's larger than 5, we're going to round that up to 201.1. Look at our meters, meter squared. All right, again, write down our pi r squared equals pi 14 squared. The reason being is we're given our radius right there. Didn't know the 14 squared off the top of my head. All right, so pi times 196. Okay, so I'm going to pop that into my calculator. Pi times 196 equals. Our answer is going to be area equals 615.752,160. And there's more after that, but we're only cluing in on tenths, so we won't need to even look at that. All right, so we have 615.752. All right, but we're going to look at this 5 to see if we're going to round up to 615.8. Since 5 is 5 or larger, all right, we're going to round up to 0.8. And we're going to write our unit, meters squared. Last but not least, now here's a tricky one, okay? So here we have, and I'll show you why it's tricky. I'm going to copy down pi r squared. We know the diameter is 22, so 22 divided by 2 equals 11, okay? Area equals pi times 11 squared. Area equals pi times 121. Wait a minute, I think this is the one I already did. I might have made a mistake here. All right, pi times 121 equals. Yep, I did a duplicate. Sorry, folks. Suppose we can look at the rounding here. All right, so since 3 is less than 5, area is equal to 380.1. Look at our unit, meters squared.